Hi everyone! Thank you so much for watching my video. I just wanted to do a video on tarot reading, what it means to be an intuitive tarot card reader, and how that sort of compares and is very similar to other forms of divination that I've tried. So I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about like how I came to be a tarot card reader and what it means to be an intuitive tarot card reader. So my sister gifted me a deck about 3 years ago now, and I spent about 2.5 years just pulling cards for myself and really learning what the cards traditionally mean. When we talk about like a regular tarot deck, we're talking about like the major arcana and the minor arcana, and each card, 78 of them, they each have their own traditional meaning. And for instance, we have here like the Four of Pentacles, which talks about like holding back, and since it is earth energy, it talks about like finances or tangible like material things. I just spent a lot of time really diving into the meaning of the cards before I started to read them intuitively. So intuitively reading the cards is slightly different from being a regular tarot card reader to me. I feel like just regular tarot card readers will look at the traditional meaning of the deck and the traditional combinations and sort of give you like a little bit of a broader sense of what's going on. I feel like it taps into like maybe more general themes going on for people or broader themes, whereas intuitive tarot reading allows you to tap into the energy of the situation. So you're able to get more specific. You're able to get more information because you're not just reading the meaning of the cards. You're actually tapping into the consciousness and the energy of the people or person involved in the reading that you're doing. So you're able to get like more specific messages, and it allows you to go a little bit deeper as a reader. Um, so when I'm talking about like intuitively reading cards, to me that really connects tarot reading to other forms of divination, because I feel like divination is just inherently an intuitive practice. I feel like it involves really listening to what you feel the messages are coming through, whatever form you're using. And I feel like just through learning how to be an intuitive tarot reader, I've learned how to really tap into the spirit of things, I want to say, like the spirit of objects, the spirit of everything. And once you're able to sort of learn the subtle languages of all things, then I feel like it's a lot easier for like doing divination. So one of the other forms of divination that I've really used for a while is like pendulum. Using a pendulum. So to me, I've never owned like an official pendulum that you would like buy in a store. I always make my own. So this one is just a smoky quartz crystal necklace that someone gave me, and it makes a wonderful pendulum. So I spent a long time while I was learning tarot, like using the pendulum for yes and no questions. I've also found that like having a mat with like different answers on it helps to really focus the energy. But pendulums are a little bit tricky because, well, I guess it's like any other intuitive practice. You have to really discern between like the true message that's coming through versus your own will and like what you want it to say. So with a pendulum, I feel like it's really easy to sort of be more subjective and have the pendulum do what you want it to. Just like if I told the pendulum, like if back and forth means yes and I told it to say yes, or I really want it to say yes, then there you go. So I feel like with pendulum, with using a pendulum, it's a little bit harder to get like, it's a little bit harder to like remove your influence from it, if that makes sense. And then let's see, another form of divination that I've used is reading tea leaves, which is really cool. That's such like an ancient practice. So essentially you'll like brew some tea using some tea leaves, and then you drink the tea and you leave a little bit of like the liquid in there, and you can like see the patterns in the tea leaves that are left over in your glass. Which I don't know, I just got an intuitive prompting to try it one time while I was having tea with someone, and it was really cool. The messages that I got, I was actually hanging out with someone else who was drinking tea, and I read mine and theirs, and they read theirs too, and they sort of got the same thing that I was getting from their tea leaves. So with reading tea leaves, it's more open to interpretation and like really feeling into the energy of what's trying to be communicated to you. Very similar to how I read tarot. It's just a practice of listening and really like feeling. It's a little bit subtle, and again, I feel like with all intuitive practices, it's a little bit easy to like see what you want to see, or like get what you want to get from it, but it's all about listening and sort of trying to remove your will from the process, which can be really difficult. But another form of divination that I have used, which I really like, I just really like divination in general, but is a stone casting. So I just took like a handful of crystals and stones and like cast them out, and just saw what messages were trying to be communicated with me. The time that I remember most using the stone casting is when I was really trying to figure out if I could go camping. Like someone had invited me camping 2 days before the trip was scheduled, and I had to work. So I was like, shit, I don't know if I'll be able to like get someone to cover my shift, and like I didn't have camping equipment, and I had to like organize so much stuff in 2 days. And I just asked the stones if I would be able to go, and they told me that everything would be aligned for me to take this trip. So sure enough, I was able to find someone to like cover my shift, which was kind of wild because like everyone who was on the staff there said no, but then there was someone who like came to fill in shifts like every once in a while, but they just happened to be free. So everything did end up aligning for me. And it was really cool to be able to see that like just through stones, because I feel like there's a perception that stones don't have a spirit or are not living, but I believe that everything has a spirit. It's just a matter of like understanding that and learning how to tap into it. So I'm a big fan of like stone casting. It was, I don't know, I felt really connected to it. Then what else is there? Oh, there's another form of divination. It's very closely related to tarot. It's just using like playing cards and reading the 4 suits as the 4 suits in the tarot deck of the minor arcana. So I really like this form because most people just have a deck of playing cards around. So whenever I'm like playing cards with my family or something, I always secretly get messages through the cards with the way that they land, or like just reading them. I think it's so fun, like, and it's a little bit secretive. My family doesn't know that I'm like getting messages from them while we're playing games. But I really I like the idea of having maybe something that's a little bit like every day and being able to use it for something very esoteric or occult. But overall, I really enjoy practices of divination. I think that if you're interested in like trying these things, it probably just takes really clearing your energy and really allowing like messages just to come to you naturally, not trying to force anything, not trying to get a certain outcome, but just allowing everything to unfold naturally. And I feel like that's your ticket for success, really just listening. But I would also, if you are going to explore any of these forms of divination, I would also just be really aware of what energy you're tapping into, and make sure that you're calling on the beings of the most high vibration and entities that have your greatest intention, and like beings that have your like well-being at heart. I've definitely tapped into a lot of different energies, especially with my pendulum. You don't really know who you're talking to, so I wouldn't be necessarily scared, but I would just be aware of like the energy that you're tapping into, and maybe just setting the intention to again tap into only energies of like high vibrations. But yeah, I hope you found this video entertaining. It was a lot of fun to be able to just talk about my process as a tarot reader and the different forms of divination that I enjoy. And I hope you have fun exploring your intuition and your skills. Bye.